She loves you madly, and most men destroy it because they don't recognize what love actually looks like. Folks, a lot of men think love shows up as non-stop affection, constant praise, and emotional intensity. So when a woman suddenly gets quiet, pulls back a little, or stops performing for your attention, they panic. They assume something is wrong. They overreact. They push for reassurance. And without realizing it, they crush the very bond they were trying to protect. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. When a woman truly loves a man, especially deeply and instinctively, her behavior changes in ways most men misunderstand. She becomes more selective, more protective, more emotionally invested, but also more controlled. And if you don't understand these signs, you'll misread love as distance and loyalty as indifference. This video is about the things women do only when their feelings are real. Not attraction, not infatuation. Real attachment. The kind that reshapes how she thinks, speaks, argues, and even stays silent around you. We're going to break down the psychological behaviors men miss, why these signs feel confusing, and how Stoic restraint is the difference between keeping her devotion or slowly pushing her away. Pay attention, folks. What you're about to hear will change how you interpret her actions forever. Let's get into it. Number 1. She lowers her guard. Let me be very clear with you, folks. When a woman loves you deeply, truly, and without reservation, the first thing that changes is not her words. It's her guard. The armor she wears around the world starts coming off when she's with you, and most men don't recognize how serious that is. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. A woman's guard exists to protect her image, her emotions, and her leverage. When she lowers it, she's risking all three. That doesn't happen from attraction alone. It happens when love takes root. Lowering her guard doesn't look glamorous. It looks ordinary, even boring if you don't know what you're seeing. She shows up without makeup. She talks about stress instead of success. She lets you see her tired, uncertain, or emotionally unpolished. This is not weakness. This is trust. Let me give you a real example. John is 43, divorced, steady in his career, living in Ohio. He's been dating Melissa, 38, for several months. Early on, she was always composed, upbeat, and controlled. Then, one night after a long day, she shows up quiet. No performance, no charm. She talks about feeling overwhelmed at work and unsure about her future. John doesn't interrupt. He doesn't fix. He doesn't minimize. He listens. Melissa later tells him she doesn't talk like that with anyone else. That's her guard coming down. Another example. David is 51, from California. He's with Rachel, 42. At first, Rachel always keeps conversations light. Over time, she starts sharing embarrassing stories, old regrets, and moments she's not proud of. She laughs nervously, watching his reaction. David stays calm. He doesn't judge. That calm tells her she's safe. Here's what most men do wrong. They mistake vulnerability for invitation. They push deeper too fast. They probe. They analyze. They turn her openness into an interrogation. And the guard snaps right back up. When she lowers her guard, your role is simple. Hold space. Not advice, not solutions. Presence. This is where Stoicism matters. Epictetus taught that strength is shown through self-control. When you can stay grounded while someone opens emotionally, you demonstrate leadership without dominance. That's what keeps her open. Another subtle sign is what she stops doing. She stops competing with you. She stops proving herself. She stops managing your perception of her. That means she's no longer trying to win you. She already chose you emotionally. John noticed this when Melissa stopped dressing to impress him and started dressing comfortably around him. Attraction didn't fade. It deepened. Here's the truth, folks. A woman doesn't lower her guard for a man she's unsure about. She lowers it for the man she feels safe, loving. If you mishandle that moment, she'll never fully open again. Write this in the comments if this hits home. I protect her trust. Stay with me. Leaving now means missing the next sign, and that one reveals how she defends you even when you're not around. Number 2. She protects your name. Folks, this sign almost always happens where you can't see it, and that's why most men miss how serious it is. When a woman loves you madly, she doesn't just support you when you're present. She protects your name when you're not in the room. That is not politeness. That is loyalty. Let's be real for a moment. Anyone can be affectionate to your face. Anyone can say kind things when you're sitting right there. But defending your character in spaces you'll never witness requires emotional investment. It requires risk. When she speaks up for you in front of friends, family, or co-workers, she is attaching her reputation to yours. This is one of the clearest markers of deep attachment. When a woman truly loves you, criticism of you feels personal to her. If someone questions your intentions, your competence, or your character, she feels an internal urge to correct the narrative. Sometimes she does it calmly, sometimes firmly, sometimes even when she knows you weren't perfect. That instinct doesn't come from logic. It comes from identification. You are part of her emotional identity. Stoicism explains this dynamic well. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what injures the hive injures the bee. When she loves you, your standing in the world affects her sense of order. Protecting your name becomes a way of preserving emotional stability. Here's where men often misunderstand this sign. They think it's about being praised publicly. It's not. It's about how she reacts when you are questioned. If she goes quiet, changes the subject, or distances herself when others criticize you, love has not fully taken root. But if she subtly reframes the situation, clarifies context, or shuts down disrespect, that's devotion showing itself. This protection also extends to how she talks about you in casual settings. She doesn't overshare your flaws for entertainment. She doesn't vent about you recklessly. She chooses her words carefully because she understands that how she speaks about you shapes how others see you. Seneca warned that character is revealed when no one is watching. The same applies here. Her protection of your name when you are absent reveals the depth of her emotional commitment. Another important detail, folks. When she loves you, she protects your future version, not just your past. If someone labels you unfairly, she challenges it because she believes in who you are becoming. That belief is powerful. It means she sees continuity and potential, not just current circumstances. Now here's the mistake many men make. They take this protection for granted, or worse, they abuse it. They become careless with their behavior, assuming her loyalty will cover their actions. That erodes respect. Stoicism teaches responsibility. If someone defends your character, you must live in a way that honors that defense. A woman who loves you does not protect your name blindly. She protects it because she believes in your integrity. When your actions start contradicting that belief, her protection weakens, not out of punishment, but out of self-preservation. This is why you must stay disciplined. Epictetus taught that if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In relationships, that means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Her loyalty depends on that consistency. Understand this clearly, my friend. When a woman protects your name in rooms you'll never enter, she has already bonded emotionally. That bond is rare, and it must be handled with care. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I earn respect daily. Stay with me. Leaving now means missing the next sign, and that one reveals how deeply she studies you when love takes hold. Number 3. She studies you deeply. Folks, this is one of the most misunderstood signs of real love. When a woman loves you madly, she doesn't just feel emotions. She studies you, quietly, consistently, with intention, not in a creepy way. In a bonded way, you become a subject she pays attention to because you matter. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. When a woman is deeply attached, she starts collecting details about you the way most men never notice. What stresses you? What excites you? What shuts you down? What lights you up? She remembers small things you forgot you even said. Let me give you a real situation. Daniel is 47, lives in North Carolina, steady career, disciplined routine. He's been seeing Laura, 41, for about 6 months. One night, Daniel casually mentions how his father used to criticize him for never slowing down. He says it once, no drama. Weeks later, after a rough workday, Laura tells him, "You don't have to prove anything tonight." Daniel freezes for a second. He realizes she remembered, and she understood. That's studying. Another example, Mark is 52 from Oregon, dating Susan, 46. Early on, Mark mentions he hates being rushed in the mornings. Susan doesn't comment. Months later, she naturally adjusts plans, so mornings stay calm. She never announces it, she just adapts. That's not coincidence, that's observation turning into care. Here's the part men often get wrong. They think this level of attention is just affection. It's more than that. When a woman studies you deeply, you become central in her internal world. You're no longer background, you're the reference point. She also notices patterns, how you respond when challenged, how you act when you're tired, how you treat people who can't give you anything. This is why love makes women sharper, not softer. She's learning who you really are, so she can attach safely. Now here's the twist most men miss. She's not only collecting good details, she's collecting vulnerabilities. Not to use against you maliciously, but because emotional closeness requires knowing where someone can break. That's why when arguments happen later, she can hit very specific nerves without raising her voice. She knows where they are. Daniel learned this the hard way during a disagreement. Laura didn't yell. She simply said, "You shut down when you feel judged." That landed because it was true, and it only came from careful observation. This level of attention only happens when love is active. Attraction notices surfaces, love maps depth. Here's where you must be careful, folks. When she studies you deeply, your responsibility increases. Your words carry more weight. Your inconsistencies are noticed faster. You can't fake character at this stage. She's watching how you live, not what you promise. Mark realized Susan wasn't just being kind. She was aligning her life with his rhythms. That's investment. And investment only happens when feelings are serious. So, understand this clearly. When a woman remembers your childhood story, adjusts her behavior around your stress points, and anticipates your emotional needs without being asked, she's not just interested, she's bonded. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I'm truly seen. Stay with me, folks. Walking away now means missing the moment where silence becomes more intimate than words, and that's where most men get it completely wrong. Number 4. Silence feels intimate. Folks, this is the sign that scares most men and exposes the ones who lack emotional control. When a woman loves you madly, silence stops feeling awkward to her. It becomes intimate, comfortable, safe. And if you misunderstand this moment, you will damage something rare. Most men believe attraction must be filled with talking, reassurance, texting, and constant engagement. So, when a woman who loves them grows quiet, they assume distance, boredom, or loss of interest. That assumption is wrong. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence without performance. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Silence only becomes intimate when trust is high. When a woman can sit with you without filling space, without entertaining, without explaining herself, it means her nervous system feels regulated around you. She is not managing perception. She is simply being. Stoicism explains this better than modern dating advice ever could. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes calm when it rests in what is natural. Silence is natural when emotional safety exists. Noise is often a substitute for insecurity. Here's the truth most men miss. When a woman loves you deeply, silence is not emptiness. It is shared stillness. She is allowing you into her internal world without needing words as protection. That is intimacy at its highest level. This is why men often sabotage this stage. They rush to fill the quiet. They ask questions that don't need answers. They joke nervously. They seek reassurance. In doing so, they communicate discomfort with closeness. And closeness is exactly what she was offering. Epictetus warned that the man who cannot tolerate silence cannot tolerate himself. When you panic in silence, you reveal inner instability. Instability erodes trust faster than any argument. Silence also signals confidence. A woman in love does not need to keep proving connection. She feels it, she senses it, and she wants to know if you can handle depth without distraction. Can you sit in stillness without reaching for control? When silence feels intimate to her, she is no longer scanning for alternatives. She is anchored. Her body has decided before her mind does. This is why silence often appears before commitment, not after. It's the nervous system saying this feels right. Now here's where Stoic restraint matters most. You do not break the silence to lead. You lead by remaining grounded. Calm posture, relaxed breath, steady presence. You allow the moment to exist without naming it. Seneca wrote that tranquility is not found in avoidance but in mastery. Silence tests mastery. If you pass, intimacy deepens. If you fail, she closes again. This is also where long-term bonds are either strengthened or quietly weakened. Silence teaches her whether emotional closeness feels safe or stressful with you. Words can lie. Silence cannot. If you want to develop this level of masculine composure and learn how to stay grounded when intimacy deepens, that's exactly what we train inside the membership. Not tactics. Internal discipline that women feel immediately. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I'm calm in silence. Stay right here, folks. Walking away now means missing the sign that reveals when she starts reshaping her life around yours, and most men never see it coming. Number 5. You become her priority. Folks, this is where love stops being emotional and starts becoming behavioral. When a woman loves you madly, you don't have to ask where you stand. You become her priority through the choices she makes when no one is watching. Time, energy, and attention begin to rearrange themselves around you. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Priority is not what she says, it's what she protects. When a woman is truly invested, she doesn't squeeze you into her life. She quietly reorganizes her life to keep you in it. Here's a real situation. Brian is 46, based in Minnesota, steady career, disciplined routine. He's been seeing Amanda, 41, for almost a year. Early on, Amanda's schedule is packed. Friends, family, work, social commitments. Brian never pressures her. He keeps his own life moving. Over time, something shifts. Amanda starts choosing evenings with Brian over spontaneous plans. She moves commitments instead of canceling time with him. She checks in before making decisions that affect them both. Brian never asked for this. That's the point. Another example. Kevin is 52, from Virginia. He's dating Lisa, 44. Lisa used to plan trips and weekends without consulting anyone. Months into the relationship, Kevin notices she starts looping him in, not for permission but for alignment. Does this work for us becomes part of her language. That's priority taking form. Here's what most men get wrong. They think priority means exclusivity, demands constant contact or reassurance. That's insecurity. Real priority is voluntary. When she loves you, she chooses you without being asked. You'll also notice priority in how she handles conflict. When a woman doesn't care deeply, arguments are disposable. When she loves you, resolution matters. She doesn't disappear, she circles back. She wants things repaired because losing you feels costly. Brian noticed this during a disagreement. Instead of stonewalling, Amanda said, "I don't want this to sit between us." That sentence told him everything. He mattered. Priority also shows up in how she manages stress. When life hits her hard, she doesn't shut you out. She lets you in selectively, not to fix everything, but to stay connected. That inclusion is intimacy. Now here's the warning, folks. The moment you sense you've become her priority, your discipline matters more than ever. Many men respond by relaxing their standards. They stop leading their own lives. They start relying on her availability. That reverses the dynamic. Kevin almost made this mistake. When Lisa started prioritizing him, he considered cutting back on his routines to match her availability. Instead, he stayed consistent. Gym, work, purpose. Lisa respected that. Her attraction deepened because his life still had structure. This is crucial. When you become her priority, you must not make her your only one. Balance preserves desire. Stoic discipline protects the bond. Love doesn't mean dependency. It means alignment. Understand this clearly, my friend. When a woman chooses you with her time, her planning, and her emotional effort, she's not just interested, she's invested. And investment is the clearest signal of love. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I stay aligned, stay with me. Leaving now would mean missing how love changes the way she fights for the relationship, and that's where most men misinterpret devotion completely. Number 6. She fights to keep you. Folks, this is where many men get confused and sabotage something real. When a woman loves you madly, she doesn't avoid conflict. She changes how she handles it. She fights to keep you, not to win against you. And that difference matters more than most men realize. Let's be clear. Love does not eliminate disagreement. It changes the purpose of it. When her feelings are shallow, conflict is a tool for control, ego, or escape. When her feelings are deep, conflict becomes a way to protect the bond. She argues with the goal of repair, not domination. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Many men mistake calm arguments for lack of passion and emotional arguments for love. That's backwards. When a woman truly cares, she regulates herself. She chooses words carefully. She stays engaged even when she's upset, because losing the connection feels worse than being right. Stoicism explains this with brutal clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the one who performed the injury. Applied here, love shows up as restraint under pressure. When she loves you, she resists the urge to destroy the connection just to release emotion. Notice how this kind of fighting looks. She doesn't disappear for days. She doesn't use silence as punishment. She doesn't attack your character. She focuses on the issue, not your worth. Even when her emotions are high, there is a quiet fear underneath of pushing you too far away. This is why men often misread it. They expect yelling drama, tears, ultimatums. Instead, they get calm tension, difficult conversations, and a desire to resolve. They mistake maturity for indifference and pull away, which is the worst possible response. Epictetus warned that we suffer not from events, but from our interpretation of them. If you interpret her measured conflict as lack of desire, you will react defensively. If you interpret it correctly as emotional investment, you will stay grounded and lead. Another key sign is timing. When she loves you, she doesn't fight impulsively. She waits. She cools down. She chooses moments when resolution is possible. That delay is not avoidance, it's care. She is protecting the relationship from unnecessary damage. This kind of fighting also reveals vulnerability. She is risking rejection by staying engaged. Walking away would be easier. Staying means she believes the bond is worth the discomfort. Now, here's the warning, folks. When she fights to keep you, your response decides everything. If you escalate, you teach her conflict is unsafe. If you shut down, you confirm her fear of abandonment. The Stoic response is presence. calm listening, clear boundaries, no theatrics. Seneca wrote that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. When you meet her controlled conflict with calm authority, you become the emotional anchor she's hoping you are. That deepens love. Reactivity erodes it. Understand this clearly. A woman who fights to keep you has already decided you matter. She is not testing your patience. She is testing whether you are strong enough to stay steady when things get uncomfortable. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I stay steady. Stay with me. Leaving now means missing. How love changes the way she feels your pain as her own, and that's one of the deepest signals there is. Number 7. Your pain affects her. Folks, this is one of the deepest signs of real love, and it is also one of the easiest to overlook. When a woman loves you madly, your pain does not stay yours alone. It reaches her, emotionally, physically, sometimes even before she understands why. My friend, I am not here to comfort you. I am here to wake you up. Attraction enjoys your strength. Love reacts to your suffering. When a woman is truly bonded, your losses, frustrations, and quiet disappointments register inside her body, not as sympathy, as shared weight. Here is a real situation. Thomas is 49, lives in Michigan, disciplined, rarely emotional. He is with Karen, 45, for over a year. One evening, Thomas finds out a long-term project at work is cancelled. He does not complain. He does not vent. He just goes quiet. Karen notices immediately. Her mood shifts. She becomes more attentive, more present without asking questions. Later she says, "You don't seem like yourself tonight." Thomas had not said a word, but she felt it. That is love responding before logic. Another example. Eric is 52 from Colorado. He is dating Michelle, 46. Eric loses a close friend unexpectedly. He tries to stay composed, keeps routines, avoids burdening her. Michelle becomes restless. She checks in more. She touches his arm more often. She grows unusually quiet when he is quiet. His pain unsettles her because she is emotionally linked to him. This is what most men miss. When a woman loves you deeply, she does not need you to explain your pain. She senses changes in your energy, your tone, your presence. Her nervous system adjusts to yours. Here is the important part. This does not mean she wants you to collapse. It means she wants to be near you while you remain yourself. She is not attracted to helplessness. She is bonded to authenticity. Many men make a mistake here. They either shut down completely or overshare everything at once. Both extremes break the connection. Love does not require emotional dumping. It requires honesty without losing self-control. Thomas handled it well. When Karen noticed his mood, he acknowledged it calmly. "It was a rough day. I'm handling it." That was enough. He stayed grounded. Karen stayed close. The bond deepened. Your pain affecting her also shows in how she reacts to your past wounds. When you mention something difficult from your history, she does not brush it off. She remembers. She becomes careful around that subject. That care is not weakness, it is emotional investment. Eric saw this when Michelle avoided joking about a topic he once mentioned hurt him years ago. He never asked her to. She remembered because it mattered. Here is the responsibility that comes with this sign, folks. When your pain affects her, your discipline matters more than ever. She is emotionally open. If you spiral, she spirals. If you stay steady, she feels safe. This is where Stoic strength quietly supports love. Strength is not pretending nothing hurts. Strength is acknowledging pain without letting it control your actions. That balance is what allows her to stay connected without feeling overwhelmed. Understand this clearly. A woman does not absorb the pain of a man she is casually dating. She absorbs the pain of a man she is bonded to. That bond is rare. It deserves respect. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I stay grounded. Stay with me, folks. Do not go anywhere yet. The next sign reveals how love changes the way she sees other men entirely, and missing it leads to costly misunderstandings. Number 8. She stops noticing others. Folks, this is one of the quietest signs of deep love, and it's also one of the most revealing. When a woman loves you madly, other men don't disappear from the world, but they disappear from her attention. And that shift happens internally, long before anything becomes official. Most men assume this sign shows up as jealousy announcements or cutting people off publicly. That's not how it works. When love is real, her mind narrows naturally. Her awareness becomes selective. She is no longer scanning the room. She is no longer comparing. Her focus has found a home. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. When a woman stops noticing others, it's not discipline, it's neurological. Her brain has deprioritized alternatives. You've become the reference point against which everything else fades. Stoic philosophy helps explain this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes colored by the thoughts it dwells on. When love takes hold, her thoughts dwell on you. Not obsessively, but consistently. That consistency reshapes what she notices and what she ignores. This is why men often misread this stage. They expect visible proof. They want declarations like, "I don't see anyone else." But love doesn't perform. Love simplifies. She may still interact socially. She may still be friendly. But flirtation loses meaning. Attention without emotional charge becomes background noise. Here's the subtle detail most men miss. When she stops noticing others, she also stops mentioning them. Past interests fade from conversation. New options aren't highlighted. Not because she's hiding anything, but because they no longer register as relevant. Her internal lens has narrowed. This is also why attempts to provoke jealousy often fail at this stage. When love is shallow, jealousy works. When love is deep, jealousy feels unnecessary or even confusing to her. She's not competing. She's already invested. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from focusing only on what is within our control. In love, her attention is her control. When she gives it fully to one man, it's because she has chosen clarity over chaos. Now, here's the warning, folks. When a woman stops noticing others, the pressure on you increases. Not because she expects perfection, but because inconsistency becomes more visible. You're no longer one option among many. You're the standard. And standards reveal cracks quickly. This is where men sometimes get lazy. They assume exclusivity equals safety. They stop leading. They stop being disciplined. And slowly attention begins to drift again. Not out of betrayal, but out of imbalance. Stoicism reminds us that nothing valuable is maintained without effort. Seneca warned that prosperity is fragile when discipline is lost. Love works the same way. When her attention settles on you, your responsibility is to remain worthy of that focus. Another important point. When she stops noticing others, she also becomes more sensitive to how you notice her. Your attention carries more weight. Your absence is felt more strongly. Your inconsistency creates confusion faster. That's not neediness. That's emotional investment responding to signals. This is why restraint matters more than reassurance. You don't need to lock anything down. You need to stay consistent. Presence, integrity, direction. These keep attention anchored. Understand this clearly, my friend. A woman doesn't stop noticing others because she's forcing loyalty. She stops because her mind has found meaning. That meaning can deepen or it can fade, depending on how you show up next. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I stay worthy. Stay right here, folks. If you leave now, you'll miss the sign that reveals how deeply she aligns her life with yours, and that one changes everything. Number 9. She mirrors your world. Folks, this is one of the clearest signs that love has gone past emotion and entered commitment, even if no label has been spoken yet. When a woman loves you madly, she doesn't just admire your life from the outside. She starts mirroring it, quietly, naturally, without announcing it. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Mirroring is not imitation. It's alignment. When she mirrors your world, she's subconsciously syncing her habits, values, and rhythm to yours because she sees herself in your future. Let me give you a real example. Steve is 51, lives in Arizona, disciplined, early riser, structured routine. He's been seeing Angela, 46, for about a year. Early on, Angela is spontaneous, late nights, flexible schedule. Over time, Steve notices something. Angela starts waking earlier. She adjusts her weekends to match his pace. She becomes more intentional with her time. Steve never asked for this. It just happened. That's mirroring. Another example. Paul is 48, from Tennessee, values health routine and quiet evenings. He's with Natalie, 42. Natalie used to joke about his early bedtimes and structured meals. Months later, she starts cooking similar foods. She plans evenings that fit his energy. She even starts using similar language when talking about goals and priorities. That's not coincidence. That's emotional alignment. Here's what most men misunderstand. They think mirroring means dependency or loss of individuality. It doesn't. Healthy mirroring happens when love feels safe. She's not losing herself. She's integrating you. This is how women bond deeply. When a man becomes emotionally central, his world becomes the reference point. She wants her life to fit with yours, not compete with it. Now here's the danger zone. When men notice mirroring, they often relax too much. They stop leading. They stop maintaining their structure. And when your world loses clarity, there's nothing left to mirror. Steve almost made this mistake. When Angela adjusted to his lifestyle, he considered becoming more flexible and dropping his routines to match her old pace. Luckily, he didn't. He stayed consistent, and that consistency is what kept the attraction alive. Mirroring also shows up in language. She starts using phrases you use. She adopts your way of framing problems. She echoes your outlook. This is not flattery. It's psychological bonding. Your perspective is becoming part of her internal compass. Paul noticed this when Natalie started repeating his exact words about balance and discipline during conversations with others. She wasn't quoting him consciously. She had absorbed him. Here's the responsibility, folks. When she mirrors your world, your character matters more than ever. Your habits will influence hers. Your discipline will stabilize her. Your chaos will destabilize her. This is why weak men destroy good relationships without realizing it. They forget they are being mirrored. Love at this stage is not about passion alone. It's about direction. If your life has clarity, she will align with it. If your life becomes scattered, she will feel uncertain. Mirroring only works when there's something solid to reflect. Understand this clearly, my friend. A woman does not reshape her life around a man she's unsure about. She mirrors the man she sees a future with. Write this in the comments if this resonates. I lead with clarity. Stay right here, folks. If you leave now, you'll miss the final sign, the one that reveals when love turns into full emotional surrender, and most men don't know how to handle it. Number 10. Love makes her surrender. Folks, let's end this the right way. When a woman loves you madly, love doesn't make her weak. It makes her willing. Willing to stop controlling everything. Willing to stop guarding every angle. Willing to let go of the constant need to manage outcomes. That's what surrender actually looks like. My friend, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Surrender is not obedience. It's trust placed in the right direction. A woman does not surrender to words, promises, or pressure. She surrenders to consistency, character, and emotional safety proven over time. This is why surrender only shows up at the end of the process. after trust, after respect, after stability, after she has watched you handle conflict, silence, stress, attraction, and distance without collapsing or controlling. When all of that aligns, something inside her relaxes. Let me give you a real situation. Alan is 54, grounded, emotionally steady lives in New Hampshire. He's been with Monica, 47, for over a year. Monica is strong, independent, used to leading her own life. Early in the relationship, she plans everything. She controls pace. She keeps options open. Alan never challenges that directly. He simply stays consistent. Over time, Monica starts deferring, not asking permission but seeking alignment. What do you think becomes common? She trusts his judgment. She lets him lead decisions without resistance. That's surrender. Another example, Peter is 49, from Washington, disciplined, calm, under pressure. He's with Denise, 44. Denise has a history of self-reliance. She doesn't ask for help easily. Months in, she starts leaning into Peter emotionally. She shares fears she used to keep private. She lets him support her without testing his intentions. That's surrender. Here's what most men misunderstand. Surrender is not something you take. The moment you try to claim it, you lose it. It emerges when she feels that giving control will not cost her dignity or safety. This is also where many men fail. They sense surrender and become careless. They stop leading with integrity. They assume devotion is permanent. It's not. Surrender is maintained through continued steadiness, not possession. Love makes her surrender because love convinces her she doesn't need to fight anymore. She doesn't need to compete. She doesn't need to protect herself from emotional chaos. Your presence has proven predictable in the best way. Alan noticed this when Monica stopped questioning his consistency. She no longer checked for cracks. She rested. That rest was not boredom. It was peace. Peter experienced it when Denise stopped managing outcomes. She trusted him to handle moments she once controlled. That trust deepened her attraction, not diminished it. Here's the responsibility, folks. When a woman surrenders emotionally, your discipline becomes sacred. You are now shaping the emotional climate she lives in. If you become reactive, careless, or self-centered, surrender turns into regret. This is why Stoic masculinity matters most at this stage. Strength without ego. Leadership without force. Confidence without dominance. You don't exploit surrender, you protect it. Understand this clearly, my friend. Love does not make a woman give up herself. It makes her feel safe enough to give herself to something solid. If you are that solidity, surrender feels natural. If you are not, it never arrives. That's the difference between being desired and being trusted. And trust is the deepest form of attraction there is. Folks, today you learned what real love actually looks like. Not fantasy, not surface emotion, but the behavioral shifts that only happen when a woman is deeply bonded. You saw how trust forms, how loyalty shows up, how silence becomes intimacy, and why surrender is built on consistency, not pressure. If you want to develop the kind of masculine discipline and emotional steadiness that creates this level of connection, naturally consider joining the membership. That's where we go deeper into Stoic strength, leadership, and relationship mastery without games. If this video gave you clarity, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for your time, folks. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow.